All right. I've got the live stream going. It looks like men are joining. And welcome everyone to Bulletproof Your Love Life. We are so happy to have you all here. If you could all please mute yourself if you're not already. And let's get the show on the road.
Yes, welcome. And I think you might need to just do mute all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I love seeing new faces and familiar faces. Some we've seen for years and some for the first time. Awesome. Very glad you're here. And maybe
Yes.
you can even want to watch that.
Yeah, we've got men still joining. All right, guys. Well, welcome to Bulletproof Your Love Life, where we'll be talking about 3 unique steps to master your love life, no matter how much it may have sucked in the past. My name is Zach Bowles, and this is my husband, Andrew Sartori. And if you don't know who we are the owners and founders and creators of Gay Man Thriving. We help gay men have the best love lives imaginable. And we're so excited to be here with you this evening. So excited to connect with you and deliver the most potent training that we can in this time that we have together. So I'd love for you all to please let us know in the chat box why you are joining us for this live call. What are you desiring to get out of this training? I love beginning with desires, setting intentions. So I'd love for all of you to say, hey, Zach here, looking forward to learning some tips, some strategies, wanting to improve my love life, whatever it is for you. Please share in the chat box why you are here, why you are joining us, and what you're desiring to get out of this experience. And if you want to make Jerry co-host, he can help us with admitting people.
Cool.
All right. So I see some great responses. Dell's looking for new ideas. Pete is looking to heal and love his shadows. Awesome. It's moving really quickly. I need to, okay, thanks. Everyone's typing now. I love it. Let's make Jerry co-host and we're muting all new participants. Okay. Pete is looking to heal. Eric says, I'm stuck. Eric, you're in the right spot, my man. Paul says, well, I've been single for over 25 years. It's very hard to meet someone. I'm seeing wanting to strengthen my marriage. Shane says, I'm looking to grow and get more self-love for myself. You're right on the money, Shane. That's where it begins, with that self-love. David says, all the reasons. I'm here to start my love life. Future dates and sex. Jason says, your email of why I'm single was very relevant. Awesome. Glad that you're here, Jason. David says, I want to meet Mr. Right. It's not easy. You're right. It is not easy, but it actually can be simple and more simple than you think. And we're going to do what we can to help you with that.
And I saw one comment that says, where are all the monogamous gay men? So I would be curious to take a very quick pulse. Type monogamous if you prefer monogamy, or type open if you would prefer more open relationships. And I would just be curious what pulse is.
Yes. So seeing lots of great reasons why you guys are here. And yeah, I'd love for all of you to do what Andrew just suggested. Type monogamy in the relationship if you're in or looking for a monogamous relationship. If you are more interested in exploring open relationships or poly or other versions of relationships that are non-monogamous, type that in the chat as well. All are beautiful.
I love David's comment, would like to understand my own worth and not change for guys to keep them. Beautiful.
I love that. I love that. Adrian says, how to attract the right guys. Tony says, finding new ways to meaningfully connect with guys, both new and existing, and maybe explore something more. I love that, Tony. So glad you're here. Yes. Vern's been single for 27 years, and I'm guessing, Vern, that you'd like to change that.
I see interested in changing my perspective from Tim as I get discouraged with finding someone to love. And let's scroll down.
So I'm seeing.
So overwhelmingly
monogamous.
Monogamy.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
And I love seeing, yeah, some open, some polyamory.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I asked this question for a reason, because we've been doing this work for my head's like cut off. We've been doing this work for about 4 years now, and one of the most common things we see is, oh, I want a guy who just wants one partner and doesn't want to sleep around with other people, but it seems like all the guys only want open relationships. And that's one of the biggest myths right off the bat. Most of the men that we work with do desire to have one partner. And so another question I want to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most like frustrated, discouraged, dating and relationships are so confusing, I don't know what to do. And 1 being like relationships are easy, I've got it mastered, I'm always enjoying my love life, whether I'm single. Thanks. Y'all know where I was going with that. Where are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of 10s. I'm seeing some off the chart responses. Yeah. So what is a 10 again?
If you 10 just really don't know what you're doing. Felt incredibly frustrated, confused, hopeless. What the hell do I do? And so Zach and I, we've been dating and relationship coaches for gay men for almost 4 years now. And relationships are hard. They are emotionally very challenging. We just started writing a duet together. Actually, we're exploring our creative sides, and we were looking at some of the hard things we've been through and the things we still continue to go through. And I was just like, gosh, why does it have to be this hard sometimes?
Yeah.
And so we want to acknowledge that it can be very, very hard. And especially for men, and especially for gay men, because we've learned that from a young age, we've learned we can't have love with another man and be happy, live a happy, full life. So there's reprogramming to happen. That's still happening. It's emotional vulnerability is something that's frowned upon for men. We're supposed to be able to fix things ourselves. We're supposed to be able to be independent, right? And it can be viewed as a weakness to let the guards down and to be emotionally intimate. And I bet a lot of you have met guys where, yeah, they're very guarded maybe, and it's like, how do I get through?
Yeah.
So pause.
No, those are beautiful things to state. And guys, we're going to, be squeezing as much in as we can over this next hour. And I just want to plant the seed right now for those of you who are getting value and want to go deeper. We do offer private services to assist you, and we'll be sharing link to schedule calls if it feels like something you'd like to explore and going deeper than what we cover in this call today. So just want to be completely transparent about that. And excited to really dive in to explore these blocks and limitations, and even more importantly, what you can do to overcome them. Because each and every one of you is dating material, is husband material. And although there can be a lot of external blocks that you believe are standing in the way, such as location or other people's perspectives and beliefs or opinions or judgments, it really all ultimately comes down to you. And so in this work, what we do is we help you recognize that this is an inside job, and that each and every one of you have the power to create the life that you desire, no matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter how much dating has sucked for you in the past, that you get to decide in each and every moment how you're showing up. And we desire to help equip you with the tools that you need to succeed. And for some of you, this training is going to help you take off and run and go for it. For some of you, some of this stuff might not quite land, and there will be a need to go deeper. So we will be letting you know how you can go about that if it feels like something you'd like to explore, because ultimately it's up to you. You get to decide the life that you create, and what you get out of something is determined by what you're willing to put into it. So in this call, we're going to be teaching you the biggest relationship saboteur and how to stop it. We're going to be covering how to sustain momentum in the face of adversity, and why you have more power to find love than you think. matter what your past, as I just mentioned. And Jerry, if you can help us, please just muting people as they come in. I don't think that's automatically set. And we'll also be talking about a specific action plan that you can take to catapult you towards having the thriving love life you desire. So with that being said, who's ready to dive in? Who's ready to learn how to bulletproof your love life? Type "I'm ready" in the chat box if you are ready, and if you are psyched, and if you are pumped up to really dive in, really get all that you can out of this training. I want you guys to have some paper and pen handy, because some of this stuff may feel like common sense, but there's a lot that we're going to be talking about today that can make all the difference in you creating the love life that you desire. All right. I love seeing all of these readies in the chat box. Anything you'd like to share before we dive in?
No, I'm ready too.
Woo, let's do this. All right, guys. So we're going to be starting with the first step, the first unique step to truly bulletproofing your love life. And probably not a surprise, but it may not also be that obvious to many of you, because so many might think that the reasons why, well, let's take a poll. I'd love to ask, why do you guys think relationships and dating is so hard? And what is the reason that you believe is been getting in your way? What is the reason that you think that you're single, or the number one reason why you think that dating and relationships are so challenging? I'd love to hear your responses in the chat. I see not trustworthy men out there. Fear, I'm flawed. People are scared because of COVID. A lot of guys just want hookups. My insecurities. There are no social norms for gay men. I am not a fitness god. I'm selfish. Location, unhealed childhood trauma. Most men want instant gratification, don't know how to connect. Very small gay community. 2 different points of view. Feel like I deserve less. I'm afraid. Fear of lack of experience. Fear of being rejected. If someone likes me, something's wrong with them. Yeah, guys, yeah. I don't commit the time. Rejection. Living in rural America. Anxiety. So as I suspected, a lot of both external and internal blocks are being listed. While it may seem like it is the gay men that just want hookups, or it is my location, or it is X, Y, and Z outside of me, gay culture, gay society, shallow, limited men, it really does start from within. And many of you also named what's really at the root of it. My fear of rejection, my fear of judgment, my insecurities, my lack of motivation. I'm set in my ways. I'm too guarded. These are really at the core, because this is what we have the control to change. We can't change other people. We can't change the fact that there is everything under the sun on the dating apps, including ghosters and scammers and liars and cheaters. But there's also really amazing high quality gay men like each and every one of you, who are also the majority of, like you on this call, many looking for monogamous long-term relationships. And so you get to decide what you want and what you're willing to do to get it. So the first step is a mindset for successful dating. And this is where we address the biggest relationship saboteur, which is your fear and your self-doubt. Because guys, in life, to achieve what we want, to have what we want, everything begins with our thinking, because that's what's going to determine how we feel, what's going to determine the actions that we take or don't take. So when you're feeling this fear of rejection, when you're feeling this fear of judgment, when you're feeling this insecurity about yourself for whatever reason, whatever story that you have in your mind that makes you not good enough, how do you think that affects the way that you feel? You get pretty discouraged, right? You feel pretty apathetic, right? When you tell yourself you're just going to be rejected, how motivated are you to put yourself out there? Not very, right? So that's why the thoughts are going to impact your emotions and then have a very strong correlation to the actions that you take. So it really does begin with your thinking, and really looking at the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment, the fear of trusting that makes you closed off and guarded. This is the first and most important step, because no matter how much you do push through the fear and get on the dating apps or do the things, if you're carrying this self-doubt, you're going to be experiencing a lot of self-defeating prophecies. I'll pause there.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. So Zach was talking about the internal pieces of having self-doubt or worrying what others might think of you. It's also if, oh, I'm in a small town and all the guys are gone, or oh, people, I'm not a fitness god, or there's classifications gay men are placed into labels such as otters, bears, and so forth. um when we're focusing on these things, well, can there be truth in some of these? Are there men out there that only want to date fitness gods? Yes, and I say good luck to those guys. They're not having happy love lives themselves. um are there people that will try to label or only want to date tops or bottoms? Yes. And at the same time, these obstacles don't have to be a thing that prevents you from meeting someone who doesn't care about those things as much,
Right.
who is all about the energy, the emotional connection, the spiritual connection, and that is wanting exactly what you want in a relationship. But when we think that there's all these blocks and they can't be overcome, it's like it demotivates you to even do it. Or it can also put you in a place of being guarded. And when you go on a date, oh, well, this guy seems nice, but what is he not showing me that is gonna cause him to hurt me down the road? Right? We see this so often. It was beautiful. Someone said, "Oh, if someone likes me, then it must mean there's something wrong with them."
Right.
Um,
So no matter
and
what
yeah, Tony, I
compliments,
see.
so no matter what compliments
It,
you get or how well it's going, yeah, you're gonna be self-sabotaging it. And that's why it's so important to look at the internal blocks, the fears and doubts underneath, because they're going to keep showing up and they're gonna keep pulling you back.
and this is so much easier said than done. So I am acknowledging that it's simple, but it's not easy. And it's about being able to stay open even in the face of uncertainty.
Yes.
And it ultimately is all about the energy, being able to have an open energy to connect. I'm curious, what do y'all know about energy? How important is the energy on a date or a connection? Scale of 1 to 10. How important do you think the energy is between you and another person when you're seeing if you can connect with them? Yeah, 10, 8, 10, 10, 10, 9, 10, critical. Yes. And yeah, someone says, do you mean vibe? Is it energy or chemistry? Yeah, so it's a very vague and broad word. I know that. And so I'm glad y'all are asking. So one thing we talk about is energetic attraction and how it always outweighs physical attraction.
Always.
And so we're going to get into more action steps soon, but if you're just looking at, oh, am I physically attracted to this guy? Am I physically attracted to this guy? Yes or no? And if you're basing who you're going to go on a first date with that, you're extremely limiting yourself. And because it is all about the energy.
So I see a great comment. If there's no physical attraction, then there won't be any other attraction. And while that may seem true, it's actually inaccurate in my experience. While we can't pretend that there's no such thing as physical attraction, as we all know, our looks, our appearance are going to evolve over time. And the key core component of connection is how we feel when we're with people. And yes, there are some people who are only concerned about physical appearance, and God bless them. I used to be one of those people, and I found myself time and time and time again in empty, unfulfilled relationships where it made sense on paper that we were a couple. We looked like we should be together, but there wasn't that deeper connection, something that I discovered later in life, which is what builds the foundation of long-term connections and long-term relationships. And just like Andrew was saying, if we're guarded and if we're carrying doubts and fears and insecurities with us, we're blocked from making those deep connections. We're wearing masks. We're trying to be who we think other people want us to be. And many people find themselves in these hamster wheels of not knowing what to do differently, of trying so hard to figure it out, but not really facing the energy underneath all of the blocks and insecurities, which is the fear of not being enough and all the ways that that can impact you. And so this is the most crucial piece to address. And it doesn't happen overnight. And this is what we specialize in helping gay men really begin working with, are these internal blocks and these fears, are these doubts. It's required for you to look at because they will keep popping up again and again. And when you do face these things, just to paint the picture, you're able to let go of the power you give to these fears that keep you from being present, that keep you from, so many people can feel like they need to, put their best foot forward and make the best impression and be the person that they think other people want them to be, which doesn't build authentic relationships. It doesn't build authentic connections. If you're overthinking, you're not able to be present enough to really connect with another human being. You're out of the present moment, either focused on what you just said that you think was stupid or focused on what you need to do differently, and you're not able to be there. And that's why it's so important to address this so that you can truly be confident in yourself. You can truly be present and in the moment and truly make those beautiful connections when you trust yourself, when you believe in yourself. And you get to experience a whole new level of freedom of not being attached, not having expectations, and not having agendas. Because for you to explore love and relationships and really find that great match for you, you have to be willing to take some risks. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, because that is a key component to a real connection, vulnerability.
Yeah, and it really, what we're talking about here is a new paradigm of dating, of connection. When we work with so many guys, they come into our space, they start implementing what we're teaching them, and it's changing everything. And it's breaking away from the old myths. And just so you know, for those of you who don't, gay men were more likely to be single and to feel lonely and depressed in old age than straight men, straight women, and lesbians. We are very likely to self-isolate in old age and to not be happy. And so what's been the norms are, they're just not working. And so like I see some comments saying, well, if there's no physical attraction at first, then nothing can happen from that. It's this kind of thinking that is very, very common. And it's not to make people wrong for thinking it, but it's this kind of thinking that's at the beginning of the results that are not what we want. What we want to see is more people feeling connected. And it's not just about being in a relationship. It's about feeling great with yourself, enjoying intimate connections, physically, emotionally, sexually, etc.
Yeah, and if you guys don't believe us, I've got a really great example of a relationship that did not start from mutual physical attraction. And that's the one that you're looking at right now, Andrew and myself. When we first met, boy, oh boy, was Andrew my type. But guess who was not his? Me. At the time, Andrew was not only already in a relationship when we met, but he really firmly believed that his attraction and his type were big bodybuilders who were tall, dark, handsome, and successful, and around his age. And I'm none of those things. And I was not any, well, I feel successful now, and I do pride myself on my appearance, but I was not Andrew's type. I was not what he was looking for on the dating apps. And it wasn't my physical appearance that drew me to him. It was how he felt when he was with me. And he soon recognized who he was in the relationship with a tall, dark, extremely successful man wasn't what he wanted in a relationship, because he wasn't energetically attracted to that person in the way that he was to me. And not only did that make Andrew recognize he no longer wanted to be in that relationship, but he quickly expressed his feelings towards me. And we've been together ever since. And Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, your sexual preferences and what you're drawn to and attracted to has shifted over time.
It has, and the really interesting thing is, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, Zach's so handsome. That this is all bullshit. The the interesting thing is, I've actually lost like 10, 15 pounds of muscle since we've dated, and Zach's put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle. And he was very, very petite, very, very small and skinny when we first met. And like he said, he's not someone I would have even considered going on a first date with. That was my old mindset. I only wanted to date muscular guys, and that's all I cared about. And I was like, well, I'll be friends with him. I would love to have a friend in this volunteer. We were volunteering for Bernie Sanders. I was like, I'll have a Bernie friend. And yeah, I remember just feeling some kind of connection. No, and I was very much in my relationship, not looking to date someone else. But when we were leaving that night, I just remember thinking, oh, I hope I see this person again. Like that, I had a really nice time connecting with him. I hope I see him at another volunteer event. And then things progressed, and yeah, here we are. over 5 years later. And yeah, Zach's 8 years older than me.
When we met, I was barely making minimum wage, and yeah, very petite with a bit of a little belly. And my energy, because I had done so much work to build myself up and really believe in myself and show up fully and energetically and confidently, it was my energy that attracted Andrew to me, nothing more. But over time and very quickly, because of that energetic attraction, it shifted his old mindsets, and he blew his own mind with how he's evolved in his thinking. And we have an amazing sex life, and we're very attracted to each other. But what you guys think is your type could really very strongly be limiting you. And that's why in step 3, we're going to talk more about having a very open mind and not limiting yourself to little checks off the box that you require people to meet. Because one of the biggest excuses that I hear when gay men tell me why, when I ask gay men why they're single, they say, I'm too picky. And what I really hear is, I'm afraid of putting myself out there. I'm afraid of exploring options and possibilities. I'm afraid. And there's so much judgment in the gay community, and many of us fall into that. But we also can be limiting ourselves. You can be limiting yourself from the amazing connection that's available to you, like what Andrew and I share. And
yeah, and I'm seeing some common threads in the chat about my fears. I'm running out of time to find someone.
Oof.
Oh, am I too old? Has the clock run out on me? I think I saw Steve say that.
Yeah.
And
that feeling of urgency is not doing you any favors, because that puts you in a scarcity mindset, which is part of this first step, is really having the successful mindset to begin the dating process. And practicing dating while you're doing this and learning, because relationship and dating are great tools for learning, but letting go of the just feeling like, looking at dating as a husband interview, because we've got to pause and we've got to be present and we've got to be open to investing time in people or places or things that may not turn out to be the long-term relationship that we desire. But knowing that having that scarcity mindset is also a form of a wall that you're putting up that can be really blocking you. So for those of you who this is really resonating with, I want to go ahead and send an invitation to explore going further with us. This is deeper work, and it's not for the faint of heart. We're still going to talk about steps 2 and 3, but I'm feeling called to share how you can go deeper with this, because we do go much deeper into the mindset. It is building the solid foundation for really building true confidence in yourself, authentic confidence in yourself. I'm not talking about putting on the confident mask and acting bold and all the things that we as gay men have learned to do. but really learning how to let go of the fear of trust, letting go of the fear of rejection, letting go of the fear of judgment, so that you're willing to be vulnerable, to let down those walls, so that you can put yourself out there and know that you can trust in yourself to navigate a date that doesn't go well, or a relationship that goes sour, or someone not wanting to be with you and not taking it personal. That freedom that you're able to experience when you're able to let go of those fears, let go of those negative energy blocks, and build unshakable confidence in yourself is the most amazing freedom that you can experience. And that's what we specialize in. So for those of you who are hearing what we're saying and want to go deeper, I want to send that invitation to you. I just posted a link in the chat box where you can fill out a quick questionnaire. And if it makes sense, schedule a call with us to explore going deeper, as hundreds of men have before you who are now married in incredible relationships, having the most successful dating life that they could ever imagine. That's what we do. And that's what, besides my relationship with Andrew and his with me, there's nothing we're more passionate about. So planting that seed. Awesome, Patrick. Yeah, I see your private message. Fill out this application, and let's chat. So who's ready to move on to point 2? So once we've got the mindset taken care of, which is I believe the biggest piece, in my opinion, they're all important, but releasing the negative energy blocks, the fears and the doubts, and the building of the confidence is so required for you. Otherwise, it's all a slippery slope. But step 2 is, all right, I see 2 in the chat. Step 2 is taking imperfect action. So type perfectionist or overthinker in the chat if you find yourself talking yourself out of taking action. Right? Overthinker in the chat if you find yourself thinking, well, I really want to talk to that guy, but he might be out of my league, or I don't know if he'll want to go out with me, or I'm just not sure, or you know what, I'm just going to wait till next week. Yeah, I had a feeling. I'm seeing both perfectionist and overthinker. I'm seeing a lot of overthinkers in the chat. I have been so guilty of this in the past, and it's kept me so stuck, and it kept me in what we call the shit pool of settling and tolerating and not creating the life that I want, because it's so easy to talk ourselves out of things. It's so easy to come up with reasons and excuses to not do the thing that we really desire. And that's where the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions come into play. That's why this first mindset piece is so important, guys, because once we've got that taken care of and we have the mindset for dating success and we're confident, we believe in ourselves, we let ourselves take imperfect action. And this is where you just put yourself out there. You just start messaging guys on the dating apps. Yes, please do say more than hey or sup. And yeah, you probably will get, bombarded, unsolicited dick pics or questions, and maybe some scammers or people looking for sugar daddies. Those are all on the dating apps. But once you have that right mindset, you just veer right past, let's just call them bad apples. They're not bad people, but they're looking for different things. And you just start making connections, and you stop worrying so much about meeting that one perfect person, and you open yourself up to making connections. So taking imperfect action is the most important step, because guess what? When we're overthinking and we don't take action, there's a beautiful quote by Wayne Gretzky. I'm not a sports person, but I love this quote. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So guess what happens when you talk yourself out of reaching out to guys? You talk yourself out of going to social events. You talk yourself out of making connections. You're continually reinforcing those original fears and doubts that it's not going to happen for you, that it's too hard, that you're just one of those guys meant to be single. It pains me to hear that story. I'm just one of those guys who's meant to be single. Total bullshit. But that becomes a self-defeating prophecy when we do what? When we don't try, when we overthink, when we stand in our own way. So this is, once you've got that foundation of courage and confidence squared away, you get to start putting yourself out there. You get to start going on the dates. You get to start showing up for yourself, and you get to be willing to be rejected. You get to be willing to not be everyone's cup of tea. Guys, we can't expect to be everyone's taste. I was not Andrew's at first, but then he fell in love with me, and he fell in love with my energy. We've got to be open. The only way to lose, guys, is to quit or not try. I'll pause there.
Covering a lot of great things. So I want to answer some questions in the chat. So what dating apps do you recommend? So the apps are a tool. It's not about necessarily picking the perfect app. It's about how you use the app more than anything. That said, we've had clients have a lot of success on Match.com, Zeus, OkCupid, Tinder, Bumble, Scruff,
Grinder.
The main ones. And this isn't new information, I know, but I wanted to say you can have success on any of them and give some a try and move on. And wanted to speak to, I saw a comment, I walked up to guys, tried to talk to them, and their responses were disbelief. Why are you talking to me? It was disappointing. Don't let those assholes, for lack of a better word, if they were that rude to you, prevent you from talking to people who are going to be kind.
Yes.
And I saw a comment earlier on, like, I've been so hurt in the past and I'm just trying to move on from it. I don't want to get hurt again. And we go a lot deeper into this in energetic attraction coaching, because there are ways that you can show up in relationships that can prevent dramatic, tragic, emotional abuse from happening. And it's, again, that we've got dozens of hours of trainings on this, so I can't say it all now. But when you decide you're going to set your standards, when you're not going to try to change for people, when you go out and date for the experience of it.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about this.
Yes.
And when someone is showing major control issues or things that you don't like, don't keep dating them. We see guys who have dated men way longer than necessary. The person I was dating when I met Zach was very emotionally abusive to me, and I tolerated a lot of it. And I've seen other clients. We've got Ted Smith here on the call now, who is in a emotionally abusive relationship for 15 years.
Yeah. So I just want to jump in real quick, because this is what fuels the overthinking. Because we've type hurt in the chat box if you've been hurt in the past, if you have felt rejected, if you have felt judged, if you have felt dismissed, discarded, if you have felt really upset and challenged because a relationship didn't work out, or some guy that you walked up to the bar acted like he didn't give a fuck about you. Right. Guys, I'm mortally wounded, hurt. We've all experienced pain. We've all experienced rejection. And we are in a survival consciousness when we're tiptoeing around life, trying to avoid repeating discomfort. And it's all natural. A lot of people live their whole lives in this survival consciousness of trying to avoid pain. But with avoiding pain, potential pain, you're also avoiding opportunities, and you're avoiding fully engaging in the possibilities that are available to you. When we think, I've been hurt in the past, I don't want to be hurt again, I don't want to go walk up to another person at the bar and feel rejected, then you're going to continually not try. And that's one of the energy blocks that we dive into in core energy coaching of energetic attraction coaching, is not assuming that history is going to repeat itself, and knowing that each and every moment is a new opportunity for us to explore life, to explore connections and opportunities, and not be limited by events that happened in the past. All of us have been wounded, and all of us have a tendency to be guarded from that. And it can seem counterintuitive to let that guard down, to open ourselves up. And there's no guarantees that when we do, that they're going to pick up what we're putting down. So many of us, we finally build the courage to put our guards down. And then what happens? We feel rejected again. And so we decide it's just never going to happen for me. That's why this is not easy work. And that's why it's so important to really address that first mindset piece, to be willing to weather the storm, to be aware that there will be bumps in the road to make those really beautiful connections. But when you don't give up, you get to keep trying. Guys, when I was diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, and nursed myself back to health and decided I want to start exploring dating again, I felt so rejected and so defeated when people were calling me dirty and broken and damaged goods on the dating apps. And it made me want to completely give up. It put me in a place where I really thought about killing myself because I thought it was over for me. But I decided I wasn't going to be defined by that piece of me, by my status. And I started learning to not feel affected and not take personal the attacks that I was receiving from time to time. But if I had given up and decided it's just too late for me, I'm damaged goods, and abandoned myself, I wouldn't be where I am today, married to an HIV negative man who is the fucking man of my dreams, who I'm co-creating the most magical life with. Guys, if I would have let all those hurts define me, I would have collapsed and given up on myself. And that's why we have to be willing to weather the storm. I had to be willing to be rejected when I told people my status. I had to be willing to be rejected by Andrew the first night he shared his love with me and his connection with me, that I need to tell you something. I'm HIV positive. And I had to be willing for him to reject me. And I put myself out there. If I would have told myself, oh, this young, amazing man is never going to accept me, I'm not going to try, then we wouldn't have built this incredible organization that we've built. I would still be working a retail job, smoking pot every day, all day, every day, and not having a satisfying life. I would have been settling, and I would have been in a survival consciousness, still trying to hook up and whatever. But guys, this is where you get to decide, are you defined by the hurts of the past? Or are you going to choose to move forward? Are you going to choose to perhaps do some deeper work on yourself so that you can create the life that you desire? Because no matter where you've been on your journey, no matter what you've endured or experienced, whether it's the death of a partner, or whether it's been extreme pain or trauma or rape or rejection, no matter what you've experienced, that does not define you. That does not define who you are in this moment or anything about your future, unless you allow it to. And that's why this work is so profound, because it helps you see each and every moment as an opportunity to reintroduce yourself to the world and decide what you're creating for yourself. And with that power comes the relationships that you desire. And that's why we've worked with men of all walks of life, of all ages, shapes, and sizes, who, when willing to look at the uncomfortable shit and willing to not be defined by their past, are able to step into incredible relationships. And that's the piece. And that's why taking imperfect action is so important, because we're not overthinking, we're not worrying, we're just doing the things, recognizing there's going to be bumps, but trusting that we can handle them. So I feel like we should jump into part 3. Anything else you'd like to add?
I wanted to also address men who are already partnered here. Type partnered if you are already in a relationship. I saw that in the chat. And I want to say everything here is relevant when you're in that relationship already. Like, the doubts will keep coming up. Taking imperfect action means maybe sharing a vulnerable truth that you've been hiding, sharing how you feel about something that you were afraid how your partner might respond. It keeps on going. It's not when I remember a moment when Zach and I were really deep in the connection, and I just remember feeling, oh my gosh, wow, like he's the one, like I found him. And there were parts of me that really felt like, okay, the search is over. Like, my life is complete. It's smooth sailing from here. And that was not the case. We've had to do so much work in our relationship and face our own doubts and shadows and patterns that continue to come up.
I'm so glad you're saying this, because so many men that I've talked to are under the impression that once I get in the relationship, then everything just magically is easy and falls into place.
But what I do want to say, though, what I know now, I didn't know when I started dating Zach. Neither did he. And so we've had way more bumps and rocks in the road then were necessary. And so like when you're learning and implementing the things that we teach you, you get to start building relationships on a rock solid gold foundation.
Yes.
And that's what we find with the guys in our programs. Like we've got Mr. Ron Lieberman, who's 76 years old. He's been working with us 2 years now. He's had 3 boyfriends in the time that he's worked with us, and lots of dates. And the relationships he had were all incredibly satisfying for him. Some lasted like 2 months, some 4 months. No, actually, I think he's on his 4th
and
boyfriend.
He had given up on dating for about 15 years before diving in to do this work.
And then 2 months in, when things don't feel satisfying, he's like, all right, these are my standards, meet them or not. And the guy doesn't meet the standards he has for himself, and he happily dates other men. And now he's 3 months into and each time the relationships get better and better and better. Like, and this might sound morbid, but I know if Zach were to die tomorrow, or if I were to die tomorrow, eventually we would both get back out in the dating pool, and whoever we decided to date long term, I know we would both have an incredible, amazing relationship, because we know how to show up. We know how to be open to receiving love and to give love. And we also know how to not put up with abuse and things like that. So
that's right. Setting standards and requirements for our relationship is really an important piece. And it doesn't stop after getting the boyfriend or after getting married. The work continues. It's a lifelong journey. Sorry to break it to some of you who may be thinking, Matt's all I've got to do is get to that place. Because then that's when the whole new chapter begins. But it gets to be extremely rewarding and fulfilling, because I believe relationships are our greatest teachers, our greatest tools for expansion and awareness and growth. So that brings us to the 3rd step. I'm going to quickly review. So the first step to bulletproofing your love life is really cultivating the mindset for success in dating and relationships. Again, releasing the fears of rejection and judgment and doubt and abandonment, all of the core wounds that block us from letting our guards down and building confidence in ourselves so that we can make connections. Step 2, taking imperfect action, gentlemen. This is getting off of our asses and doing the thing, even when it's scary, even when we don't see all the pieces, and even when we're unsure of the situation. It's doing the thing anyway. It's taking the actions. There was a piece I was going to share just now, and it completely left my mind, but it'll come back. So those are the first two steps. The third is more about your energy, and it's after you've done those first 2 steps, it's having an open and expansive energy while you're dating. So this is where you get to really tap into an open and expansive energy, like Andrew did with me. Like, even before we started dating, he was open to spending time with me. I was not his romantic type, but he allowed himself to be open and listen to his heart rather than the head that was saying, no, Zach's not a muscle daddy. Zach's barely making minimum wage. Zach's not tall and successful. Zach's older than you. He didn't listen to those voices. He got out of his head and tuned into his heart. And that's where we can open ourselves up. When we start tuning into how we feel when we're with people, we're able to get a lot further. And that's going to avoid a lot of the pitfalls of settling for being in a relationship that doesn't quite serve you. So what does that look like? It looks like showing up on these dates with 0 expectations and 0 agendas. No husband interviews. If we're showing up to a date trying to picture ourselves married to this person for the rest of our lives, guess how many second dates we're going to want to go on? I mean, it's so easy, and it's coming from a place of protection, coming from a place of not wanting to waste time. For those of you who have this story that TikTok, time's running out, I got to find the one, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot by disqualifying so many amazing men who could be the most excellent fit for you. When you stop thinking with your mind and stop focusing on just pure physical characteristics, you're able to tap into something so much deeper. Because as you all know, our looks are going to change over time. So focusing on how you feel when you're with the person on the date and allowing yourself to be present. Again, not letting the the fear of saying the wrong thing or offending them. Like, don't go to a date wearing a mask trying to be who you think they want you to be, because what happens when they fall in love with the mask that you're wearing? They're falling in love with someone other than who you are. And that becomes extremely uncomfortable when you either have to carry on this charade of pretend. It's not authentic. So if you're able to let go of those fears and doubts, be present, and let go of the expectations and stop taking things personal, you're able to open yourself up to amazing connections. So don't have a boyfriend in mind when you go on the date. Be open to making a connection with another human being, and that will make all the difference.
Yeah, I see a question. Is it okay to start slow with coffee dates? Absolutely. We start with coffee dates, phone dates, Zoom dates. I saw another thing. COVID has made it hard to date. Guys who are working with us during the lockdowns, during the pandemics, were having the best dating lives of their entire existence because they were doing Zoom dates just like this. They were doing phone dates and still building connections, and then traveling when they were able to. And because it's all about the energy. Energy transcends time and space and physical distance and looks and all the things. So that's why that openness is so important. I think there's, we do recommend starting slow with coffee dates and phone and Zoom dates.
Yeah, it's taking the imperfect action and running with it and staying out of your head while you engage in the dating experience. We go a lot deeper with all of these steps in several programs that we offer, but it's letting go of the need to get it right on the first date and being present and allowing yourself to focus more on whether or not you enjoy spending time with that person than trying to be who you think they want you to be. It's all energy and it's all mindset, and it's all going to make or break your dating experience. And you also get to choose to have fun with it. You get to decide that, hey, I'm not running out of time. Time is my friend, and I'm going to savor it. And I'm going to savor these experiences and let go of that scarcity mindset and step into more of a place of abundance, of possibility and opportunity, where although that might not seem like you're Casanova, on the Zoom date or on the phone call or on the coffee date or on the dinner date, but recognizing that there's so much to connection, and even being friends with this person, if you feel like you're really enjoying spending time with them, can open up new doors and new possibilities. And this is how we really expand what's possible for us. So that's really what I feel to share about this third step. I really feel called to, again, remind you guys that while all of this may seem simple, it can be really difficult when you're faced with your inner critic, with your inner demons, with the deeper work that we do in the shadow work of what can really block us from going for what we want, from believing in ourselves. I know so many gay men have these conditioned behavioral patterns that keep sabotaging them in relationships. That causes them to, I just want to say that causes them to either settle, causes them to people please, that causes them to not really get what they desire.
Right. So we've talked a lot about practical things and specifics about dating and relationships and the mindset pieces and the energy. And Zach's mentioned the word survival consciousness. And ultimately, it's never the specific strategy you use or the thing that you're doing, but it's the energetic state that you're in and the energy behind why you're doing what you're doing. I saw, is it possible to reset a broken relationship? Yes, it's possible. But I would need to know more about your relationship to say, is it even worth you even trying to consider doing that? Or are you just operating out of survival consciousness? And what this is about is, like, you've all had challenges, you've all had painful experiences that are causing you to operate in survival consciousness when it comes to love and dating and romance. And when guys join our programs, all of a sudden we start finding, oh, friendships and things are also happening that way, or professional relationships and colleagues, similar patterns show up. And so what this is about is it's about going deep within yourself, unraveling those pieces that are keeping you in survival consciousness and getting into your power out of survival and into thriving consciousness. And when you're in thriving consciousness, you're going to know what to do or not do. You're going to know what to say or not to say. You're going to know, do I want to go on another date with this person or not? You're going to know, do I want to break up with this person or not? And it all comes back to you being in your own power and knowing and believing you're going to be creating exactly what you want.
Yes. And the core of being in your own power, guys, is one word: trust. That is the difference between being in survival consciousness and a thriving consciousness. Trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your ability to navigate whatever comes your way in life. Trusting that you're always getting what you want. Trust that everything is happening for you. And this is where you get to start playing the game of life as more of a participant instead of a spectator. And you get to really get out there and really live fully. Survival consciousness is where many people stay. It's where you stay safe. It's where you stay guarded. It's where you protect yourself from perceived harm, from experiencing harm or pain that you've experienced in the past. And yes, those walls of survival will keep you surviving, will keep you in the day-to-day, type of life that many people and many gay men particularly settle for. But there's more available to each and every one of you. And when you learn how to trust in yourself, to create the life that you want, to build confidence in who you are, trust in your value and your worth as a human being, as being dating material, as being a fucking husband material, then so much becomes possible for you. And you get to trust in yourself, to put yourself out there, to take imperfect action, and to explore the world with curiosity without judgment. And that's a beautiful thing to see. It's something Andrew and I and so many of the men here in Gay Man Thriving that have stepped up to do this deeper work are all experiencing. It requires you to take a hard look at yourself. It requires you to face some of the things that you may have been avoiding. But once you learn how to face yourself and navigate those challenges, life becomes so fun and so free. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And so if you would like to explore going deeper into this, Zach's going to put the link in the chat. And I'm just going to respond to a few more comments. I want to thank Ted Smith for giving great insight in the comment section, Ted. It's been very helpful to see that. And a comment from Tim K, the person that broke up with me a long time ago never gave me the reason why, and I've never been able to get over that. So you're giving that person all of your power. You're giving your power completely away to him, thinking, I need him to tell me something so that I can move on. And this is what we're about, taking your power back. And so that's what this is about. And I will say, everyone here, you've gotten great information and insights that you can take and run with. And if you're someone who knows that I really want to take off in a rocket ship and I want to blow my mind at how much I'm able to achieve and accomplish just in a 90-day period and never be the same again in terms of how I feel about dating, love, romance, relationships, I highly recommend you book a call with us. I don't know of anywhere on the planet where people are having these transformations so rapidly. And we've got a few spots left right now before we're going to be changing some things. So yeah, we would love to talk with you, or for you to talk with one of our coaches. And it comes down to you making this a priority. And there's no cost for the initial conversation. There's an application you can fill out, and then we figure out what is the best thing for you. So go ahead and schedule that for those who are like, I want to dive deep in myself. I want to achieve self-mastery, thriving consciousness, not just in dating and relationships, but it spills over.
Yeah.
We would love to have that. And
Yeah. In summary, I just want to say, so we've on this call today given you, like Andrew said, some very practical tips of what to do to be willing to face your fears, to really be able to overcome those struggles and challenges that you've experienced in the past, those core wounds, releasing the power that you're giving to those fears of the time that you didn't get an answer of why that guy didn't want to be with you, the time you were rejected, the time you felt that pain or rejection, letting go of the power you're giving to those things. Easier said than done, but a crucial piece to being able to move forward, to trusting yourself, to take the imperfect actions, to allowing yourself to show up presently, and to really be open to possibilities in step 3. All of these things are things that all of you can go and run with. And for those of you who are feeling challenged, feeling blocked, feeling like you need extra guidance and you need extra support, then this is your next step, is to schedule this call and to explore really creating what you desire. This work is not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for someone who's looking for someone to do the work for you or give you a magic pill, because we can't do that. But what we do successfully do is support you, as we have hundreds and hundreds of gay men before you, in looking at your own shit, of releasing the power that you're giving to those fears, building confidence in yourself, and learning very practical tips and tools and strategies that you can use when things get hard, when shit hits the fan, so that you don't abandon and give up on yourself and go back to settling and tolerating a life that you don't desire, or settling for a relationship that doesn't quite fulfill you. This is where you get to be the master creator of your life. And as Andrew said, I don't know of any other organization in the world that supports gay men in the way that we do and has had such tremendous success helping men achieve the life and relationships that they desire. And so one last time, I'm going to share the link. I want to honor each of you for showing up today on this call, for being willing to grow and expand your consciousness, to be willing to make challenging changes in your life so that you can create what you desire. Each and every one of you can have that, but it's ultimately up to you and what you're willing to do to get there. So I hope and trust that you found value in this experience. Thanks for showing up. It was a pleasure being here with each of you. I look forward to those of you who want to explore going deeper and schedule a call. For those of you, we'll talk soon. For the rest of you, we'll see you in the Facebook group, and we hope you have a beautiful rest of your night.
Good night, guys.
Bye for now.